So we know to access the internet, NAT has to be performed, right? So NAT policy need to be enabled in your Palo Alto firewall since your internal users are having a private IP to reach the internet. We need a public IP, so we cannot purchase the public IP more. We cannot directly, even if you're affordable and you're not, you should not directly assign the public IP to your internal machines. So for a security purpose, so we saw this in our last session itself, right? So now that NAT we are going to implement in Palo Alto. Okay, so whatever the type of NAT you guys are learned in a CCNA level, right? So basic training, so static NAT, dynamic NAT, PAT. So all the type of NAT here we are going to implement. Okay, but that NAT implementation we have only two type of NAT implementation. NAT type, there are three type of NAT like static, dynamic, and dynamic IP endpoint, which means NAT. Sometimes we call it as a NAT overload. Sometimes we call it as a PAT, right? So these NAT, we can do it in only two methods. Actually. Okay. So two type of implementation we have in NAT. So one is source NAT. Another one is destination NAT. So source NAT you have to perform when your internal network need a internet access. Okay. And what is destination? You're running some services. Let's say let me show this topology. You're hosting some web services or some services. These services need to be accessed by internet users, right? So outside users, they need to access your services, right? So in that case, you need to, let's say this is the outside user, and let's assume that this is a Amazon website, Amazon e-commerce website. So it's a w this is a web server, and that is having a URL www.ecart.com or Amazon, right? Let's say I'm going with the ecart.com. It's a com ecom.com. Okay, so e-commerce business we are doing. So we have a dedicated web server for that, and in that web server we have hosted our product. So we are selling that product to the outside users. As a user, he need to access that website like www.ecart.com, right? So in that, a user will not aware what is the public IP and private IP, and also he is not able to mm, remember IP for all the websites he want to access, right? So that's why we are giving you one URL, and that URL we mapped with your web server IP, but not your private IP. It's a public IP of your web server IP. So why we need a public IP? Let's assume, so we all know if it is a IP have a private IP, either source or destination, and that IP private IP is non-routable to the internet. So if you are directly assigned this and we cannot assign the public IP directly on the server machines due to security reason. So internally we will use the private IP only. So this private IP, if you are directly mapped with your URL, let's assume that www.ecart.com is mapped with 172.16.2.1. And so now what will happen? You, as soon as user type www.ecom.com and DNS query will go and he will get an IP resolver, and so his browser will try to reach 172.16.12.1 IP, and that will be forwarded to user and ISP gateway, and So let's assume that user have a internet access without public IP. It's not possible. So user has a public IP 100 dot user's IP. His source IP is 100.10. Okay. So let's say source IP is 100.0.0.10 slash 24 and destination is our web server IP which is original IP 172.16.2.1 slash 24 network, and then service it's TCP and port number you TCP 6 and port number 443 HTTPS or HTTP, right? So if it is a HTTP, port number 80. So this is the packet, and this packet will forwarded from user and user PC to user and ISP gateway, and ISP gateway will check what is the ISP gateway routers will check what is the destination? Destination is 172.16.2.1. That is not your ISP gateway IP, or it's not, since it's not a public IP. So this packet will be dropped in ISP gateway itself, because this private IP is not so. As soon as it is identified that IP is not your ISP device's IP, so it will check the routing table for this destination 172.16.2.0/24 network, and that destination network obviously they will not maintain because it's a private IP. So it will be dropped in a user in itself. So which means user not able to access our server. If user is not able to access our server, our business will not run properly. So what we have to do here to to user need to reach our internal network, at least our WAN gateway, and then from the WAN gateway we can divert the traffic. We can further forward the traffic to your actual server where your e-commerce website, right? So we can able to do that. But in this use case, if you're applying it directly your private IP, you're mapping your URL with a direct original IP of your web server, which is private IP. It is dropped in a user and itself. User is not if user is not able to access, our business will not run properly, right? So in this use case, you need one public IP. So you are just purchase. Let's assume that we are purchasing the public IP. That public IP is, let's assume, 172.6. Sorry, not again. I'm going with 172. Let's assume 150.0.0.10/24 network. Now it will again a user type www.ecard.com, and he will get a IP resolver, and the IP will be public IP 150.10. So that will handle the packet, this packet again a user and PC will further forward the traffic to its gateway, and gateway device, his Wi-Fi router, his mobile, or if he is working in somewhere in an organization, so that gateway and that organization gateway will receive that traffic, and it will further forward the traffic to their ISPN, and this user ISPN and ISP will check. That user ISP device will router will check the destination. Destination is 150. It's a public. If it's not a user and ISP IP gateway IP, so what it will do, it will check the destination route for this network and route for this network, destination network, and then route will be identified because it's a public IP. So internal ISPs are interconnected, all the ISPs are interconnected. So they will get the route and further forward the traffic. And let's assume this IP is bought from, we bought the IP, right? So it will, this is a IP of our ISP network, one of the public API of your ISP network. So user and ISP will further forward the traffic to our ISP network, and our ISP network will check that 150.0.0.10 is bought from our side. So they have a route to further forward to reach that 150. According to them, 150.0.0.10 is reachable to via our WAN interface, Ethernet 1/3. So now the traffic will reach up to here, and your gateway device will check what is the destination, and that is 150, and we are not directly asking. If you are give your IP, that public IP is your WAN interface IP, then it will reach your WAN interface, will receive that IP packet, and it will try to open the packet, and will open the packet. Actual what will happen, this WAN interface we can implement NAT in a two-way. You can purchase external public IP. You can use your WAN interface itself. If you purchase the WAN external public IP, and for that public IP will check that public IP, we are not requesting any request from that specific public IP. There or we are that IP is not going to physically bind up with any interfaces. Okay, so in that case, what will happen? Your device will drop the packet, your firewall will drop the packet, or your gateway will drop the packet. So now what we have to do here? So if someone is try to reach our public IP for the services web 443, and obviously that is our e-commerce website, someone from the internet, they try to purchase something in our website. So that's why they call this public IP. So in your production network, if you receive any IP packet, any request of request for your public IP with the specific service which you are hosted in a private IP segment, then you have to, we know this is a web server traffic. So what we have to do? We have to further forward the traffic to our actual web server. So here destination need to be translated. Then only your firewall or your gateway will hand over the traffic to the actual destination, because the user is want to access your e-commerce website. So that e-commerce website original IP is private IP. So if they are calling through public IP means we need to map this private IP and public IP. So here we are mapping the destination public IP to translate with our original private IP of your web server. So which use case? When your outside users, anybody from internet, someone, they want to access our internal services. So in that case, we need to map with the public IP with our private IP of private IP, which need to done on your destination address. If you are doing a source address translation, again the source will be translated to 17. Let's assume that if you're doing a instead of doing a destination address translation in this use case, if you're doing a source address translation, 100.10 will be translated to your original private IP, your web server private IP 116.2.1, and again it will check the after address translation destination remain 150. That is where is your 150.10? We are not configuring any IP address on this interface, or that in if you use your if suppose if you use WAN interface but IP itself for NAT purpose, we are not hosting any web services on your gateway. So you will not get reply, and if you are doing a address translation on your source address, so the packet will be again dropped. If the packet is dropped, our business will not run properly because user will not purchase. If user is not able to reach it, then they are not going to purchase anything, right? So in this use case, you should do address translation on your destination address. So if you are doing a destination address translation, I mean address translation on your destination IP, and that is called DNAT or destination address translation, guys. Okay, to make you simplify, to make you understand easily, so just keep it in your mind. When your internal resources they want to access the internet, the request is going from internal network to internet, then there is a place of source net. You need to implement address translation on your source address. If suppose any request coming over the internet to access your internal services, right? In that case, you need to implement destination NAT. Okay, just keep it in your mind simply. When your internal users or internal resources need a internet access for your business activities, that time you need to implement source NAT. When outside users they want to access our internal resources, that time from the internet to request is coming to your internal resources, then you need to do destination NAT. Are you clear, guys? So when we have to implement source NAT and when we have to implement destination NAT, are you clear now? Any doubts? Any clarification you need for the source NAT and destination NAT? if you are not clear in this, when you are doing in your production network, if you are going to configure the NAT, you will be definitely you will be do some mistake on NAT configuration. Okay, so you have to know the flow of NAT. So when internal users or your LAN, your internal network, they want to access the internet services, that time you have to implement source NAT. When internet users or outside users, right, they want to access our internal resources, that time we need to implement NAT on our gateway devices in destination NAT. So both the scenario we need to implement NAT, guys. Source NAT also we need to implement in our device itself, and destination NAT also we need to implement in our device itself. Okay, gateway itself. Yes, we will do that. Okay, we'll do all those. Just verify. Just wait. So tomorrow, most probably destination NAT we will implement on tomorrow. No worries. As of now, just have ideology when you have to implement source NAT and when you have to implement destination NAT. So that's why I just given a small scenario. You are running a e-commerce website. You are running some website, or you are running on e-commerce business. So for that business, you have one website to sell your product through online. That website is hosted in your organization, in your office, internal server segment. Okay, so that so outside user who want to access some products, who want to purchase some product, so they need to access your web server. They will see what is the availability of the device, particular product, what is the cost, and when it will be dispatched. Everything he want to know that. After that only he need to do payment. Everything he will do. For that he need to access your web server. Okay, so in this use case, you need to implement DNAT. This is the scenario along with a practical, I mean the implementation of DNAT. Tomorrow we'll do that. So in this scenario, you need to do DNAT only. Okay. Ranjit, okay, let's assume this. You guys are all, everyone is, you are working, right? So let's assume that you're doing your work from home, or you're not out, you're not doing your work from home. So you want to apply leave, unfortunately, emergency leave you need to apply, and you don't have a privilege. You're not having your organization devices, property devices, right? So you have just a mobile. In that mobile, you can you have access of your official email. Okay, so you are putting a mail, you are in a leave. So that mail, you just say you're working as a, you are working in a so and so infosec company. So they have a mail like that, whatever your name and infosec.com, like that. Okay, so now you're just writing a mail from your mobile application, mail application, right? And that mobile, that mail has to reach to your so and so, let's say hr.infosec.com. Okay, so that has to reach your HR. So as soon as you say right after write the mail, after you just click a send, right? The traffic will reach where? First of all, it will reach to your, it's need to reach your official web mail server. All the organization, they have their own mail server. So in this use case, you're not using a VPN traffic. You just initiated I mean, you write the mail and through your mobile, and you connected with a public network, right? So you're from your mobile ISP, you may connect with the Geo or something else. So through your mobile network, you write the mail and it should reach, right? So in that case, you are having some public IP and you don't know what is the IP of your your email server. You just send mail to your hr.infosec.com. So infosec.com, this mail will further forward the traffic to infosec.com web mail server. Okay. And from infosec.com mail server, it will further forward to your HR so and so person. Okay. So this mail, let's assume HR is not there. He's not opened the mail. And so he doesn't have an internet connection right now. So this mail, where it will store? It will be stored and it will be forwarded. It will be stored in your mail server, your official mail servers, your organization mail server. Then it will further forward to the hr.infosec.com that as soon as he connected the internet, he will get the mail, right? So store and forwarded happen in your mail server. Centralized control, it has happened in your mail server only. So in this use case, your mails, you're doing this, you're sending a mail from your internet. Let's assume that that mail server, where it will be there. It will be in your organization, in your data center, right? So if it is a small company, they have a dedicated server segments. So or if it is a biggest organization, they have a dedicated own data center. So the server will be deployed in a data center, and just like this, here only it has to reach, right? So in this case, if this mail need to reach your web server, and then it will forward to your HR so and so person, right? So that will be done by your mail server only. So your mail has to forward it to mail server. And where is your mail server? It is in your organization. So if you are officially, physically, it is connected with the private IP 116.2.2. So in this use case, if you are directly mapped with infosec.com, mail.infosec.com web server with a private IP from internet, you will not able to send the traffic, right? It will not reach you because you need a public IP, right? Because you are in the internet. So what they will do in your organization? Ye- they will need one public IP for their mail server, okay, and then that may, so from then only you can able to send a mail from outside of your network to your organization network, right? Your organization, or you may your some of the client for your organization, they need some quotation regarding the project communication. You are doing some project communication, so the clients need a quotation or something else which is related to the your business approach. So they will send a mail, and where it will forward to your mail server, and from mail server to so and so person, maybe sales dot something, right? So or support dot, or see if it is escalation, or if need if they need to communicate with higher person, so CEO or something, whatever else. So that outside mail need to reach your mail server, then from your mail server to your so and so person from your company, let's say sales team members, or technical team members, or CEO, or escalation manager, escalation team, whatever it is, right? So in this use case, if you're just hosting your private, I mean, if you're not implementing the NAT, what will happen? The traffic may reach your the user and ISP gateway. You are directly hosting that 172.16.2.2. Okay. And that is a private IP, and a user and ISP itself, the traffic will be dropped. The mail will not be reached because you just given a private IP. What is the official, I mean, physical IP of your website mail server? So that is a private IP. It is non-routable to the internet. So what you have to do? You need one public IP to access your mail server for external users. From internal network, you can easily access. Within your network, you can able to access. From external users, for some scenario, for some business need, they want to access, they need some information. So they are sending a mail, and they are ready to give us some project for your company. So in that case, if you are not providing the reachability to if you don't have a proper reachability to your mail server, how will you get this opportunity? So it will make your business loss, right? So what you have to do always, your you should available your network or your servers, whatever the service you are providing, that should be available to the external users as well if you are running a business, right? So in this use case, how we can avoid it? So we need, instead of private IP, we need to purchase one public IP, let's say that is 100.10, and that 100.10 is mapping with, so this mail server, the infosec.com, something, right? So that will be mapped. So user will as soon as send the mail to the support or sales or someone from your organization. So first of all, that will reach to your your mail server. Then from the mail server, it will hand over to the so and so person, right? So for that, we need a reachability. If you have a public IP, now that public IP, so destination will be 100.10. So the 100.10 is your organization public IP, right? Which is your mail server public IP. So now it will further forward the traffic to user and ISP to our ISP gateway, and our ISP will further forward the traffic to our WAN interface, because we bought this 100.10 IP from our ISP. So ISP knows where is 100.10. So simply they will further forward the traffic to our WAN link, Ethernet 1/3. So now Ethernet 1/3 may hosted with this public IP or may not. Okay. So in that case, if it is hosted with a public IP, it will check 100.10 is running with the mail services. This is a router. This is a firewall. In our use case, this is a firewall. We are not running any mail services, but request is coming for the destination 100.10 with the services, mail services. And where is the mail server? Our mail server is here, which is hosting with 172.16.2.2. So as soon as you identify that the destination request is coming from the internet user and the destination is 100.10 and service is mail, email services, that is map, IMAP, POP3, whatever. Okay. So your firewall will check as soon as it is received for the destination 100.10 on your WAN interface, or that public IP is we are using it as an external method. So it will check, do we need to apply any destination NAT? Why we need to apply destination NAT? There, we obviously know this request is for our mail server, and our mail server is hosted with a private IP. So we need to do address translation from 100.10 to 116.2.2. Then only your firewall further forward the firewall or gateway device further forward the traffic to 116.2.2, and mail server will receive the request, and then it will receive the whatever the mail is sent by the user. It will receive that mail, and then it will further forward the mail to the, to the user. Let's say it's a hr.infosec or hr.infosec or support.infosec, whatever, right? What is the two you your two mail ID? So for that two mail ID, it will further forward the traffic. And so without applying DNAT, here the packet will be dropped, because we are not directly mapping our public IP. We are not hosting a web mail server directly with the public IP due to security reasons. Okay. So that's why we we need to do address translation to further forward the traffic with the actual physical mail server. Okay. Are you clear now?
Oh, for a moment, sir. It is
Yes.
clear, by the way. Just me let little bit explain that what I understand. See, here in the ISP, there is a remote user connected, and he want to access our organization's, suppose e-commerce server
Okay.
172.162.16.2.1. Then in
Okay.
that scenario, we need to apply DNAT on our Palo Alto firewall. So
Yes.
Palo Alto firewall, because this server is having email. This e-commerce server is not having a public IP address. So the user from the remote site, he will be not able directly to access it. So for that purpose, we will take one public IP address, and that public IP address will be mapped in the web server somewhere. So
Yes.
now, what I understand, that we will apply a kind of DNAT policy, which will translate remote users means public IP address, whatever we will be having on the Palo Alto side. Suppose 100.1.1.1 we are having on the Palo Alto E1/3. E1/3. It will be having the public IP address where we will apply this public IP address.
So yes, Ethernet 1/3 only will be mapped with the public IP. Yes.
And okay,
Your
we'll
WAN
be having a public
interface.
but where we will apply the means we have purchased a separate IP address for the purpose of e-commerce. Where this IP address will be assigned on the Palo Alto side, or it is on the web server itself.
No, no. If you are apply the web server itself, then that is considered as a public network. So it's not your internal network. So it
So we
will
will.
be lie on your Ethernet 1/3. So
So
you
is
are
there any
mapping that.
possibility we can apply what there is already 192.168.10.50.
Yes,
Suppose for a
possible.
moment it is a public IP address. Suppose for a moment it is a public IP address because it is connecting in the scenario to the ISP. Suppose it is a public IP address. Okay, you have given
Yes.
another IP address 10.100.10. So I assume that it is a public IP address right now. So
Yes.
whenever public IP address is already assigned over there by the 100.10, so whenever any request is coming in form of POP3 or IMAP, then it is the Palo Alto device which will convert this public IP address into internal e-commerce server 172.116.2 and forward the packet to 172.168.2.1. And whenever this server will reply, then at that time it will use its own interface IP 100.10.100.10 IP address to send the packet outside to the remote user. Is it like that?
So which IP we used for NAT purpose? That
I
IP
mean,
while
you
sending
use
the
100.10.
no, no, let me tell you. So let's assume that this 100.10 I'm using as a external. I have a two public IP on my Ethernet 1/3. I'm physically configured with 100.10. Okay, and the external
Okay,
also I can map one more public IP. Okay, or another one more public IP, multiple public IP. I can able to map it. Okay, so
okay,
this is for DNAT purpose. Okay, so in
okay,
this use case, let's assume that 150.10 I given to the external users to reach my web server. So according to web server, he will send a request for the destination 150.10. And as soon as your firewall receive that WAN interface, that traffic will reach to our ISP gateway, and ISP will know this 150.10 is given to us. So that will be mapped from the ISP network. They will further forward the traffic to the our Ethernet 1/3 interface only, and as a destination
No,
150.10.
it is confusing somewhat. We are not giving users any public IP address. In spite, we are providing them e-commerce means
See,
there is URL
that
we are
is,
providing them.
yes, that URL must be matched with public IP only. Okay,
Yeah, it is. It should be
so
mapped somewhere on the public network.
DNS servers, DNS servers, they
Uh,
will map. So when you're
yeah,
hosting a web
yeah.
server,
Okay, okay.
hosting, while doing that hosting, that all those stuffs will be done.
Okay,
So
okay.
w.ecard.com will be
Yes,
mapped
yes,
with
yes.
so and so 150 dot something under. So
Got it.
user will not aware about it, and you no need to worry about it. Okay, so you need,
Yes.
if you are having internal DNS servers, you need to map that DNS server,
Hmm. No,
or you
it is a
can go
public
with the
network.
external
By the
DNS.
way, it is a
Yes,
public network, so it will be taken from the public DNS server because it is a
yes,
public.
exactly. Yes, public DNS server, just like Google DNS server 8.8.8 something. But
Yes.
your ISP also, they, whatever you are getting IP, right? Your ISP
We
also,
will
they
come
have
back
their
again to
own
the same
DNS.
packet flow that user requesting from outside and he is hitting the 150.10. Okay,
Yes.
150.10, our Palo Alto received it and it
Yes.
identified that this packet is for 172.16.2.1. Now,
If you are
what will happen?
applied, if you are enable DNAT on your firewall,
Huh?
it will check as soon as received 150.10 I am receiving. So this IP, do I need to apply DNAT? If you are enabled, then DNAT will be applied. Then whatever the private IP you have mapped, whether web server, mail server, whatever, it will send the traffic to that particular mapped IP, and your mapped IP,
Huh?
according to your mapped IP, again, let's write the proper packet flow. So let me
That
show
will be better. Yeah, I can it will be more clear.
source type. Just a minute. This is a let's say source user have a IP 100.10. So he will get a public IP from his internets, right? So ISP.
Yeah.
So you don't need to worry about it. And he is pinging www.ecard.com. So according to him, he will get a DNS resolver and DNS public. Our public IP is 150.10. Okay.
Mm.
So I'm writing a request packet. Sources 100.10. Destination is our public IP 150.10. Okay. So
Fine. Fine.
I'm writing here.
It's good.
And the services, it's a e-commerce web server website, e-commerce website he tried to
Yeah. Yeah.
access. That is TCP and and then port number 443. This is the
Fine.
packet. Okay.
Yeah.
This is the original packet which will hit to
Mm.
you from user to user and ISP gateway. And ISP user and ISP gateway will check what is the destination. It's a public IP. So they are interconnected. ISPs are interconnected. They obviously have a route for 150. So 150 is belongs to our ISP network, right? So
They will send it.
ISP, so it will send to our ISP gateway, and our ISP will know this one because we bought this ISP, this IP from our ISP only. So
Yes.
they
Yes.
know
Yes.
that it belongs to reachable through Ethernet 1/3 of our Palo Alto firewall. So simply they will further forward the traffic up to here without
Up to
any
here.
drop.
Yes. Our Palo Alto's
150,
Ethernet
yeah,
1/3. Fine.
Yes. Someone else. Yes. Any queries?
yeah, sorry. 150, in this case, Palo Alto needs to advertise to the internet cloud. So the internet, like ISP has
Like,
given this IP to us, but Palo Alto
Yes,
needs
yes.
to advertise it to the internet cloud in order for the internet traffic to hit Palo Alto. Otherwise, this
Yes.
IP will be not reachable from the internet.
Exactly. That and all they will do it in a when you're purchasing the public IP, right? So when you're doing that, you have to contact the ISP team, and they will help you to advertise it. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
so all the
it's
internet
for
traffic pertaining to 150 will hit Palo Alto public interface.
yes, that is your Ethernet 1/3.
okay.
Okay. So now what it will happen? So now as soon as your Palo Alto receive that, right? Okay. So now it will check
Uh,
what is the destination because it's a L3 device. Again, it will check what is the destination 150.10. As soon as it's identify the destination, it will check your NAT table.
okay.
For this IP, do we have any NAT rule?
Yes.
DNAT, especially DNAT, it
Yes.
will be checked first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so here only you need to define that. So if I receive 150.10, any request for the destination 150.10 for the service TCP 443, right? Now we know this is for our web server traffic. So we need to manually say that please do address translation because my this 150 is not my web server. So please do address translation with, let me,
172.16.2.1.
172 dot 172.16.2.1. Okay, it
Yes.
remain sources because source we will not
Source will
translate
remain
it,
same.
remain same
100.10.
dot 10. Okay,
Fine.
now The protocol, again, the protocol and TCP and
Same
services 443. So
443.
now this packet, translated packet only, it is further, now for the translated packet, again, after translation, it will check what is the destination. Destination is 172.16.2.1, and that is directly connected network to
1/2.
your firewall Ethernet 1/2. So it will
Yeah,
send over the traffic to the Ethernet 1/2, and Ethernet 1/2 further forward the traffic to your web
web
server.
server.
Now,
Fine.
while doing a reply, source will become a destination, destination will become a source, right? So
Yes.
now this is the destination. While doing a reply, it will become a source. 172.16.2.1. What is the destination?
100.10.
100.10. Okay. So now in this reverse packet, when it is hitting to your firewall, and it will check existing session, this is session will be activated, and it will check this is in the existing session already DNAT is applicable. And so this, while doing reply, reverse NAT will be done. So which means
Source will
it
be
will
changed.
change to
150.10.
your again 150.0.0.10, and remain
Ah,
destination is 100.10. So now
yes.
your Ethernet 1/3 will further forward the traffic to your ISP gateway, since we have a default route, and ISP gateway will further forward the traffic to user. User will get the reply. This is how
That is
the
clear
packet
now.
flow.
Yeah, it is
This
good.
is how your packet flow will be happen. And everything, the address translation, mapping, everything will happen on your WAN interface.
Yeah, yeah. That is
Okay,
good.
outgoing interface.
Thank you.
You may have a
Thank you.
multiple WAN interface. So whichever the outgoing interface, you can, as administrator, you can prefer that. So which interface you want to use it. So in your NAT rule, we will do the, we will mention that which interface we are going to use it. Outgoing interface, Ethernet 1/3, or if you have a multiple WAN interface, so which interface we are going to use it. Everything we are able to create it. We have to define that in your NAT rule itself. Okay, clear?
Yeah, it is clear. Thank you.
So fine. So now, so far, what is source NAT? What is destination NAT? So when we have to implement source NAT, when your internal users want to access the internet services, your organization network is sending a request to access the internet services. That time, source NAT, internal to internet. When destination NAT need to be implemented, internet user want to access internal resources. That time DNAT has to be performed. Clear? Any queries, guys? I'll show you the packet flow, and I mean the NAT, how it is performed, NAT details, everything I'll show you tomorrow. Okay, so almost we are the 9:30, few more minutes only there. So if I started, I'm not able to complete. So the direct tomorrow we'll go with the lab directly. Okay. So tomorrow we'll implement source NAT. In source NAT, we have a three type of NAT: static NAT, the IP pool, dynamic IP pool, the dynamic itself, static and dynamic itself, dynamic IP pool, and PAT. In further PAT itself, outgoing interface, WAN interface IP itself, or you can purchase one more public IP and you can map with the external public IP. Yeah. Right. So this PAT in Palo Alto, we call it as a dip. So better to write PAT as a different dynamic IP pool, and then dip, dynamic IP, and port. Okay. So we'll perform all these three NAT tomorrow, and if mm, for this all these three we'll it's take our 1 hour session. So if we have time, then we'll go with the destination NAT. Else, the next session we'll continue with the destination NAT, guys. Okay. So I hope now you don't have any doubts regarding the source NAT and destination NAT. So this flow must be clear, else when you are doing in a real-time devices, in your organization, so you will get, I mean, you will not able to perform the proper NAT rules, guys. Okay. So that's it today. We'll meet tomorrow. Any doubts? Taibu, your machine is working now? Palo Alto? Guys, if you don't have any doubt, you can leave now. We'll continue tomorrow. Taibu, can you hear me? Okay, guys. Then that's it today. We'll meet tomorrow. Bye bye. Take care.